Hi guys, how are you doing? This is from Nexus with another comparison video between the Google Nexus 7 and the iPad mini. This time I'm not going to concentrate on the hardware or anything like that, but one of the biggest complaints when it comes to pretty much every Android tablet, and that's the lack of optimized apps. So in this video I'm going to compare some of the same apps on both devices to see just how much better they look on the iPad mini or how similar they are on both devices. So let's get started with this video. So to start off with, one of the things that I really want to say is that I just didn't go to the App Store and look for apps that made the Nexus 7 look bad or the iPad mini really shine. Those are really a couple of apps that I use every day. So let's start and take a look at this. So I already opened them in the background, and just again you see that the Nexus 7 is far superior to Android in general when it comes to the multitasking menu. But I think the first app we're going to start out with is Spotify. So this is the What's New section, and I think you already see a pretty nice difference right here. And the Android version is basically pretty much a blown up version from the phone itself. So it doesn't really make the best out of the screen real estate that you find on the Nexus 7. So you still have this hidden menu right here, which works well and it's nothing bad about it. And you still have a lot of content right here with the covers on top. But if you really compare this to the iPad mini app, then, well, just iPad app in general, I mean, this looks a lot better with this spinning wheel. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can just as good listen to music on the Nexus 7 with this app. The functionality is basically the same, but the version on the iPad just looks a lot more pleasing, also with the player down here, which I think looks a lot better, also with the controls for skimming the song and just maximizing the artwork and so on. I think overall the app is just a lot better designed. You also don't have this menu right here. This really takes advantage of the biggest screen on the iPad mini that you have always, just the menu system overall, always on the left side. You don't have to swipe in or anything. So definitely a winner right here is the app for iOS. As I said, you can still hear music great on the Nexus 7 with the app, but just overall the design is a lot better on the iPad mini. So next up, we're going to take a look at the YouTube app, which, you know, it's kinda unfair, you might say, because this is actually, YouTube is owned by Google, so it should look a lot better on the Nexus 7. To me, that's not really the case, because while you see here that you really have really big thumbnails, this isn't really a bad thing. I actually like that. But overall, I think the iPad mini version, or just the iPad version overall, looks a lot more structured, and I really prefer that. Besides that, it's fairly similar. You can swipe in from left on both devices to really see your channels that you have subscribed to and check out the latest video, or also go to your channel. Again though, I think this just looks blown up and clunky on the Nexus 7, and I think this really takes a lot more advantage of the screen real estate that you have on a tablet compared to a phone. So I think here again the winner is definitely the version for the iPad mini. Now of course some of the apps or app functions come down to the basic operating system. So for example, sharing options and so on are way better on Android than they are on iOS. But again, this is just pretty much about the app design. Again, you can watch great videos on YouTube on both devices. I just think here it looks clunky and blown up. Compared to this, you also have this unread count or unviewed count from the videos right there. And this just looks too big to me. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of that. And here you just really see that this, again, takes more advantage of the screen real estate. Of course, the Nexus 7 doesn't have a big screen, or has a smaller screen than the iPad mini as well. But I think overall the app design definitely on the YouTube app, again, is a lot better on the iPad mini. So next up, and we are getting closer with app that looks similar, we'll go to IMDb. And so this app gives you all the information that you may need about a movie. So we see overall it's a similar structure, but again, here the design of the app is a lot better. Now, however, I have to say that this update with the app, how it looks like right now, was just released, I think, like 1 or 2 weeks ago. So maybe we see this design that we see on the iPad mini right here also coming to Android tablets. But so far, again, you have the actors right here and you have them down here. So I think that's also well better designed. And then overall you have a picture completely up here. and the scores. So I think this is just has a better structure to it in the app. But again, you see the same content on both devices. But again, definitely the design on the IMDb app as well is a lot better, or not a lot better, but is better on iOS. So last but certainly not least, we're gonna switch to Flipboard. And Flipboard is also an app that I use a lot of the time to just read the latest articles. And we see that this is a fairly similar design. We see on both devices that we'll have 3 articles. So just in a different order, not really a big issue. So we have, for example, the iPad mini report right here, and then the Facebook report up there, and it's down there. But basically, it's a very similar design. And so this basically shows that really apps don't have to look worse on Nexus 7 or just on any Android tablet than on the iPad mini. Of course, with the iPad mini, you have to consider that a lot of those apps were originally written for the original iPad, so for even bigger screen size. And sometimes you do realize that when certain buttons are pretty small on the iPad mini, and they definitely look better and are better spaced out on the Nexus 7. But here again, Flipboard is one of my favorite apps to really show that an app can definitely look great on both devices. And so that's just my overview. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, I think this is really up to the developers. I think once tablets with Android sell better, I mean the Nexus 7 is already selling great, then we'll also see a lot more optimized apps on Android, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm really eagerly awaiting pretty much every update there is to an app on the Nexus 7. And so this is just my comparison, and this wraps it up. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think this is really something that Android needs to evolve in, or if you think, well, just that the apps look a little bit better isn't really an issue for you because you just really want the core functionality, which is basically the same on both devices. Thanks again for watching. Please hit the subscribe button wherever it is on your mobile device, desktop, or wherever you're watching this video. Thanks again. See you next time.